Greg asked us a question about the gift of singleness. How do you know if you have that gift? I've been thinking about going into ministry and have been taking to heart what Paul said, that it is easier to serve God if you stay single. But several people at my church think that this is a strange idea and have really pressured me to pursue marriage, especially as someone who wants to become a pastor or a missionary. I would love your advice on this. Thanks.
Yeah, thanks, Greg. Well, first of all, how do you know that you have the gift of singleness? If you're not married. It is a gift, and everybody who isn't married has that gift and needs to rest in that gift. So for the time that God has you as single, Greg, however long that is, enjoy it. Receive it as a gift and use it as a gift for helping others. Single people in the church are a huge treasure because they often have time to give that they wouldn't have if they had their own families to look after, where they can be big brothers and big sisters. And that is so necessary in the church. We do have this tendency, Greg, in the church to think that, I got married when I was 34, and so I always wonder, is the Lord ever going to send me a wife?
Yeah.
And it was sometimes a real difficult thing to wrestle with. Why is the Lord withholding the right person from me? And I didn't think of it as a gift. I should have thought of it more as a gift. But one thing I heard a lot, and that's what you're hearing, Greg, is if you're going to be a pastor, you're going to be in ministry, you have to have a wife. It's the exact opposite of what the Apostle Paul said. Now, Paul didn't say you can't have a wife. That's the error of saying that ministers have to be celibate. But he also didn't say that you should or must have a wife. Here's what he says, 1 Corinthians 7, verses 6 and 7. Now, as a concession, not a command, I'm giving in on this one. I'm not telling you what to do. This is not an apostolic order. Just as a concession, not a command, I say this. I wish all were as I myself am, single. But each has his own gift from God, one of one kind and one of another. So see, Paul's calling was to bring the gospel to the Gentiles. He ate, slept, and I think he dreamed gospel. Every moment of his life was taken up with the passion of getting the gospel to the Gentiles. If he had married and had children, he surely would have been divided in his callings. He would have been gone on his missionary journeys for months at a time. That would have been horrible for his family. But if he just stayed at home, we wouldn't have had the missionary journeys. But Paul realizes that he's a special case. So he says, now as a concession, not a command, I say this. I wish that all were as I myself am. Boy, wouldn't it be great if all of the leaders of the church, at least, if not all believers, were single and had that luxury of time and energy to spend completely on bringing the gospel to the nations. But he says those who are unmarried or widowed shouldn't be obsessed with finding a spouse. He says, but if they cannot exercise self-control, then they should marry, for it is better to marry than to burn with passion. So, if it's, you don't have the gift if you really struggle with sexual desire. If that's something that sexual urges are a really big deal for you, find a wife.
Mm-hmm. Was that something for you, Mike, that really demonstrated?
I was like, seriously now, Lord, may she come quickly to me because
Maranatha wife. Yeah.
That's right, exactly. We should stay with Paul here. Each has a gift. This is what we've got to realize. Greg, you have a gift of singleness right now. Paul says, if you're single, you have a gift of singleness. If you're married, you have a gift of marriedness. Both are gifts. Go with the one God's given you, praise Him for it, and realize that God gifts us differently at different times. Right now, your singleness is a gift. use it for His glory, but be open to Him giving you another gift, the gift of marriage.